Welcome. Tonight our guests are the candidates for Barren County Judge Executive. It is an important election, so I want to urge everybody, regardless of which candidate you prefer, to go out and vote on Election Day. We are having an awful bad time these days of having the people who really count to go to the polls. So be sure and listen to them tonight, and be sure and go out and vote. I've known both of these candidates for a number of years, so I assume that neither of them will object to my calling them by the names they've been using on the many yard signs and ads that I've been seeing the last month. And first I'll introduce Davie Greer, and then I'll introduce Judge Benny Dickinson. Davie, just tell us a little bit about your background, where you went to school and where you've worked and so forth.
Well, I graduated from Glasgow High School, what Liberty Street is right now, and I attended Bowling Green Business University. Thought maybe I might like to be a secretary, but I like bookkeeping better, so I went into the secretarial field, and when I got out of Bowling Green Business University, went to work for Mr. Addis Britt at Kentucky Utilities Company for, I was there for 2.5 years, and then I went to work as bookkeeper for Rice's Radio, and in '63 I started work at the flower shop for my mother-in-law. She had Greer's Florist, and in her basement of her home. She had just started it as a sort of a hobby, and she enjoyed working on the flowers, but she didn't enjoy the bookkeeping part of the business. So I started working there, just keeping the books for a while, and went on to learn the design work and do. I can do much anything now. I've managed the shop for the last 20 years. And it has grown into the business that it is today.
So you are now self-employed.
I am self-employed.
As you've already indicated by talking about your mother-in-law, you are married.
I am married. I married Jerry Greer.
And how many children do you have?
I have 2 daughters, Julie, who is married to Randy Edwards, and Kathy, who's married to Dick Doty. I have 4 grandchildren.
Benny, where were you born?
I was born in Nashville, Tennessee. It was an accident of World War II. My father was working in an airplane factory down there at the time, and my family moved down there, but I got back home as soon as I could, about 5 months after I was born. Been here ever since.
Your educational background?
I attended Glasgow High School, graduated in 1960. Went to Center College on an academic scholarship and got a degree in economics in 1964, and went in the United States Navy. I'd been in the Navy for 3 years, but in the reserve, but went on active duty in the United States Navy aboard a heavy cruiser, home ported in Norfolk, Virginia, and I was on that cruiser, USS Newport News, for 3 years, and then I went to law school on the GI Bill at the University of Kentucky and was in the class of 1970. And I came back and joined your firm, and I was in with you and Uncle Brent's and Henry for 8 years. And then I ran for district judge and went on the bench in January the 2nd of '78 and was on the bench for 24 years when I retired December the 1st of last year.
You're married?
Yes, I'm married to Sandra Bowman. She's the daughter of Dr. C.G. Bowman and his wife Janice, and we have 3 children. Dawn, who is a flight attendant for Delta Airlines. I'm married to Mike Reynolds. She has 2 children, Drew, who's age 4, and Mary Michael, who's about 3 months, and my son Sam. He's married to Allison Hogue, and they have 1 daughter, Ella, who's about 5 months old, and I have a daughter, Anna, who is a registered nurse and works in Lexington at St. Joseph's. Been working there for about 6 or 7 months, the big St. Joseph downtown.
Davie, why do you want to be county judge executive?
Well, Mr. Barrickman, I thought that this would be a good time to give the people of Barren County a voice in what's going on in their government. At first, I just wanted to have give them a choice as they got out of the primary, and I thought that everyone should have the opportunity to vote for the candidate of their choice that was going to be for county judge executive. That's an important position. And as I got out before the primary and started working and visiting people, and they were happy that I had given them that chance. They wanted to see a change in county government. They feel a little left out, and they think that I can give them that voice because I can listen to them and be available to them. They know how involved I am in things, and I always have been, and I just want to do this for Barren County.
When did you first decide to run and file?
Well, it was sort of a short time. I had thought that I might like to be magistrate because I had been thinking about it for a while, watching the fiscal court meetings and thinking that maybe I'd like to be a magistrate, and I thought of that and talked it over with my daughters in the shop to see if it was something that they thought that they would, take over the shop and go with it and let me do something else. I had been in the flower business for 39 years, and I decided that I wanted to do something else. So I thought about magistrate, and then everybody just kept filing for magistrate, and there was about 3 or 4 come out in our district, and I just decided that I didn't want to get into that. And a gentleman came in to buy some flowers one day at the shop, and he just stuck his head in my office and said, Davie, why don't you run for county judge? Now'd be a good time. And I said, I hadn't even thought of that. And he said, well, think about it. Said, you'd make a good one. And so I went up to the clerk's office, and I got the book on the duties and what it needed to be a county judge executive, and I read those duties over 2 or 3 times and talked to Jerry and my daughters again, and they sort of got a little bent out of shape there because they didn't know whether I wanted to get into this or not. But Jerry told me if I wanted to do it, that to go for it. And I said, I can do this job, and I want to do it. And so I filed. That was about 2 weeks before the filing deadline.
Benny, why do you want to be Barren County Judge Exec?
Well, I'm retired. I was on the bench for 24 years. I've got the education, I think, to handle the kind of issues that come before the fiscal court. I've got a degree in economics, and that's what the fiscal court has a lot to do with economic development and economic matters. I've got a law degree. That's what the fiscal court does. They write laws, they interpret laws, they enforce laws, and I've had a lot of experience with that. I'm also a trained mediator, and I think that would come in very handy in being county judge executive and handling the disputes between various parties that have to come before the fiscal court. So I think that my qualifications make me unique, that I can, I've done most of the things that the fiscal court does. I've had a lot of cases in my court that had to do with fiscal court, with condemnation proceedings and disputes about contracts and disputes about personnel matters that I've had to decide as a judge. So I have that kind of experience, and I'm 60 years old. I'm not ready to be out of the fray yet, and I'm going to be a full-time county judge executive and won't have anything else to take up my time, and I think I'm uniquely qualified by education and training and experience to do that job.
There are people who ask, and this is still out there, why in the world, after as long as you were on the bench and retired, why in the world you'd want to run for county judge executive?
Well, I don't want to be retired. I mean, I don't want to be inactive. I'm not going to go home. Matter of fact, my wife is about ready to kick me out of the house, find something else to do. But I'm going to be active one way or the other in this community, and I'd like to be county judge executive. And being only, I call it 60 years old, used to be old to me. It's very young now. And
Tell me.
So I don't want to go home and sit and watch television, and I detest yard work. So I'd rather have some kind of other job to do. And I think my qualifications would make me a good county judge executive for this county.
Davie, you stated that you got a book containing the duties of the Barren County Judge Executive and studied it. What, in your judgment, is the most important duty of the Barren County Judge Executive?
I think the most important duty would be to be able to listen to the people's needs, and they preside over the fiscal court. They don't rule the fiscal court, they just preside over it. That's one of the things that it says in there that they changed a long time ago, where they don't have to be lawyers, because there is no, you have a county attorney there to interpret the laws if there's a problem exist, but your priority is serving the people. And I think with my business experience of working with the public for the last 39 years that I have the experience to be this servant, and I feel like the county judge is a servant of the people.
What administrative duties do you understand the county judge executive to have?
Well, he presides over the fiscal court, he or she. They serve on several committees. There are, I know that the BRAD, and I know that they're on the ambulance board, and I know they're on a lot of committees, but as far as executive duties, the one executive duty would be to manage the county.
What do you know about the duties of the Barren County executive?
Well, administrative duties would include obviously presiding over the fiscal court, but the main administrative duty of the county judge executive is to prepare the budget for the county and present it to the fiscal court each year. And that's a big job, and it's a complicated job. And I've read the budgets of the county, and I've seen how that was done. And sitting on a lot of boards, the county judge executive goes to a lot of meetings. He or she is on about every board there is in South Central Kentucky for ambulance or conservation or any number of things, BRAD, all of those kinds of things. And the county judge goes, or a designee of the county judge. The county judge also appoints a lot of people to other boards, like the Joint City County Planning Commission and the Conservation Board and others. There are all kinds of boards that the county judge has to appoint people to. The county judge has never, in the history of the Commonwealth, had to be a lawyer. Never has been. As it turned out, when I came back to Glasgow 30 years ago, there were only 3 counties in the state that had always had a lawyer as county judge executive, and Barren was one of those, and that changed when Judge Dickinson went on the bench, went on the fiscal court, and that was the first time that we had ever had a non-lawyer. But somebody being a lawyer is not a requirement for a county judge executive. It can be anyone, but by the same token, it can be very beneficial to have a law degree to be county judge executive, that you could understand better the laws that you're passing, the laws that you're enforcing, the laws that you're reading, and you wouldn't have to necessarily have the advice of the county attorney, but if you did have the advice of the county attorney, you would know whether the advice was good or not.
You mentioned budgetary duties. Have you ever had any experience making budgets for various units?
You talking to me? You asking me that question? Yes. Well,
I'm going to get to her too with that.
yeah, I participated every year that I was a judge with the Chief Justice's office, establishing priorities for the judicial budget and what direction we ought to go. I've testified in Frankfurt about the budget process for the administrative office of the courts, and that's the administrative arm that runs the court system. I've sat on committees for not only the district court system but for the circuit court judges, advising the Chief Justice on budgetary matters for the court system, and actively participated in that. I've owned a business, but I didn't prepare budgets for that business. They were small businesses, and it wasn't necessary. I left that to somebody else that I hired.
Davie, what experience have you had in preparing budgets and for a unit that had various divisions that you had to determine what to allot to each division?
Well, several years ago, I served on the finance committee of Wesley Foundation in Bowling Green, and we worked on a budget for that group. Of course, my business has always been one to have to meet budgets. Leo Greer was my father-in-law, and a long time ago he told me never buy more than you can pay for at the time, and be very frugal with your money and watch the way you spend it in a business. And in the day and time when 80% of small businesses go under, mine has kept going great through the years, and I'm very proud of that. I've had to live with the means of what we collect, we spend, and I think that as far as the budget for the county goes, I know there are mandated items that are line item that come down from our Constitution, and we have to follow that rule. And in looking at the budget, I've had a copy of it, and I know that there are lots of things that are added to that because we can do for ourselves, but there is a form, and the budget is pretty much clear as to where we go with it.
Have you examined the present budget, Benny?
Yes, sir.
What appointee in your office do you consider, and I'm talking about the ones you can make, do you consider the most important appointment?
Within the county judge's office?
Within the county judge's
on the third floor?
On the administrative?
The county treasurer.
All right.
Who knows about the budget, who I sat down with and discussed it at great length. Karen keeps that straight and can call up for you. There's hardly a question that you can ask her that she can't answer about the county's budget, and it'd be a great benefit to any county judge executive to have someone of her experience working for you.
Have you discussed the budget and so forth with Karen?
I have not discussed it with her, no. I haven't. I just haven't taken the time to do that. I thought that there would be enough time to do that later because the budget's not due until June of 2003, and I just felt like that was something that could be discussed later.
Have you discussed with anybody about being your county treasurer, or have you made any promises about
No, sir.
somebody being your county treasurer?
No, sir. I haven't. I have thought about it, and it's something that there again, when I'm elected, will be enough time to sit down and talk to the people. I want somebody that is able to get along with the people, to be able to answer the phone. I feel like Nancy does a great job of that. And as far as having any dealings with any of the other girls in the office, I haven't.
Have you considered anyone to be county treasurer in the event you are elected, Benny?
Yes, I've told everybody in the office, presently in the office, that they will retain their jobs. They all do an excellent job, and there wouldn't be any reason to replace anybody. As I've told, unfortunately, it came up in the primary that a story was going around that I was going to clean house down at the road department, and that was not true. And I went to the road department and told them all that I would never, ever fire anybody or clean house or fire anybody for political reasons. And as long as everybody worked and did their job, their job was secure. That wasn't Davie that said that. I don't mean to insinuate.
No.
That just came up before she got into this. That came up before she got into this. Or before she was in it actively, I guess you say, during the primary.
Davie, have you promised anybody for any position a job if you are elected?
I haven't promised anybody other than I have talked to Nancy. I've talked to Nancy because I saw her at the beauty shop one day, and I told her that I wanted her to be able to keep my appointments straight because I was going to have a lot of them. and that's the way I feel. You know, I don't think that any of these jobs need to be a political job. I'm running on the Republican ticket, but I have no problem working with any Democrat that is in office or anywhere. I just would rather it not be a political office.
There are several important questions facing the county, not the least of which is the library. Both of you have made some statements about it. Davie, what do you propose by way of funding the library?
Well, I would like to see the library present the court with, and really the people of Glasgow and Barren County, with a long-range plan of what they want and what they expect. I really feel like that, you know, the county collects the tax and gives to the library, which is, I'm thinking it was like $285,000 last year, and I feel like that if they're going to spend our money, and then they need to let us know what they plan on doing with it. And I just feel like they owe that to us, and I don't think that, I've said it before, that that we need to keep adding money to something that maybe they're not trying to help themselves with. And I'd like to see them give us a plan.
Benny?
Well, I disagree with that. The statute on libraries, we voted on this many times in Barren County. The city voted in 1951 or 52 to have a free public library. The county voted in 1953 or 4 to have a free public library. Two different fiscal courts have acknowledged on two different votes, one under County Judge Louis Nunn and one under County Judge James Gillenwater, that the county owed the library 5 cents per hundred, like the statute requires. When you have a free public library, the statute says it shall be funded at no less than 5 cents per hundred valuation in the county. We voted on that 3 different times, and it has never been paid. I think the county has a fiscal court, has a legal and a moral duty to abide by the law. Now, it says 5 cents per hundred. That's what they deserve. We have a county library board that is answerable to the city and the county government about what they do, but we owe them that money. They're not a separate taxing district. The statute says if they are not a separate taxing district, and our library is not a separate taxing district, that they are that the county fiscal court is to appropriate that much money for the library. The city has been doing that for years. I don't understand how the county has not been doing that. But I know that in other cases around the state, citizens have sued fiscal courts to mandate that they provide the money that they owe according to the statute to the library. Our library has been run on a shoestring for years. They haven't ever been given the money that they deserve, and they've done an excellent job with the money that we've given them, but they never have been fully funded, and they've been repeatedly promised that they're going to do that. Now, this fiscal court did better this year, and they got it up to 2.9 cents per hundred, but the statute said shall be funded at 5 cents per hundred. But you can't agree with the library board, and the fiscal court can sit down and agree, but the library board has to agree. You can't force them into taking less, and I think that they will if we sit down with them and say, look, we're going to fund you the way the statute says you should be funded. We're going to phase that in over a period of time, but you're going to get the money that the legislature has mandated that you be paid, and I think we have an obligation to do that. I'm going to see that it's done. I only have one vote on the fiscal court if I'm elected, but I'm going to try to lead the fiscal court in that direction so that the library will be properly funded. It is an embarrassment to this county that Barren County in the 10-county Brad area funds its public libraries at less than any other county in the 10-county Brad area. That's a disgrace. We've never done anything in this county that I'm aware of where we tried to come in second or third or 10th. We have always tried to be first in everything, and I'm going to lead this county in that direction.
Davie, you have any further comments?
You know, in talking to a lot of people, and some of the people have that they have said that they felt like that with the tax, the way it was on our county taxes, listed library tax, that this made them a taxing district. Now, I'm not sure why they don't want to be a taxing district, and I'm not sure that that makes them, but that's just what people have told me. I have always been for the best of everything in this county. I want us to have that, and I want us to have that library. But through the years, I've understood that the library every year can go or could go to the fiscal court and ask them for their money. If they needed more money, then they had the opportunity to ask them. And for some reason, and I'm not sure what it is, through the years, they either haven't asked or they've been refused. And to go back through all the minutes and everything is going to take some time, but I think it needs to be looked into. And I think that really, right now, that they are doing what they should be doing. We should be adding up. If we owe them 5 cents of the assessed value, at the time this was made, and there again, it's something that I'm going to look into after I'm elected, because I haven't had time to do it, and I've just heard that maybe our assessment now is a whole lot more than our assessment was back in 1955 when they made that rule. Now, you know, I don't know because I haven't gotten into it, but it's something that I want to look into, and I haven't. But I'm for the library, and I'm for giving them every penny that they deserve, but I don't feel like that we should raise people's taxes to do it, and we may have to come up with it another way.
I don't think that we ought to raise taxes either, and the library is not a separate taxing board. They have been listed separately on the tax bills, but it shouldn't have been done that way. And by agreement and by a letter in agreement with the state auditor's office, it's not going to be listed as a separate tax anymore, because that's not what it is. The library is funded by an appropriation, not by a separate tax. And the library over the years has gone back to the fiscal court and said, pay us the 5 cents that the statute requires. And 2 different fiscal courts, I have looked at the minutes. I've gone back and looked at them. And when they passed these things, that's why I knew that it was done in Judge Gillenwater's court, and I knew it was done in Judge Nunn's court, that they passed it. They confirmed, yes, we do owe you 5 cents per hundred, but it never has been paid. I really don't have an explanation for that.
I don't think anybody does.
Well, it hadn't been done, and that's what the statute says ought to be done, but it hadn't been done. They have gone back and asked for it. I don't know how many times Ms. Garman went to the fiscal court and said, pay us what the statute demands, and somehow it just never happened. But we'd have to ask those folks. There are a whole lot of people involved with the fiscal court between 1955 and today, but I can't answer for all of them. I do know it hadn't been done, and we have a legal obligation to do that. And obviously, no one wants to raise taxes, but the statute says we owe them 5 cents per hundred, and if we have to cut something else to pay the library what they're legally entitled to, then we have to do that.
Davie, what about mandatory garbage collection? Countywide.
Countywide. I'm not for mandatory garbage collection. I don't see how the county can get into that and collect for it in the way that it would have to be collected. And I definitely don't want to see our local haulers. We have about 7 or 8 local haulers in this county that collect their garbage, and they live by that means. And the people in the county are happy with them. And I don't see why we need that. I think we need more people aware that that they need to have their garbage picked up. But I know that to have mandatory garbage and put out bids for a big company to come in here and pick up garbage, it would mean that people like my mother-in-law that is 94 years old, how would she get her garbage to the road for it to be picked up? You know, and she has somebody that comes and picks hers up. And I just feel like that if we got into that right now, that it would mean a lot of small local haulers would be out of business.
Judge, what do you think?
I favor mandatory garbage pickup, and it wouldn't affect at all the local haulers, and I believe we have 9 of them, except increase their business. The county would not get in to hauling garbage, and it wouldn't mandate that it had to be done by any one particular company. The same people that are picking up garbage would continue to pick it up, except those very few people in the county that don't have their garbage picked up now would have to make some arrangements. There are 84% of the residents of Barren County have their garbage picked up at their home right now. That's 16% that do not. We take to the landfill in Barren County every year 52,000 tons of garbage. If you put the pencil to that, that means of that 16% that's not having their garbage picked up, that's 7,500 tons of garbage that's being disposed of in some other way. It makes no sense to me whatsoever to have 84% of the population adequately disposing of their garbage and the other 16% not. Now, there are exceptions to any rule, but it certainly wouldn't put out any local hauler out of business. It would only increase their business because more people would have to have their garbage picked up. And that doesn't even count recyclables. We recycle in Barren County 33,000 tons a year, and that's going somewhere else for the people that are not having their garbage picked up too. And it costs people now the 84% that they're paying for it. If you're in the county, it costs anywhere from $11 to $13 to have your garbage picked up. It costs much more in the city to have your garbage picked up. It's $30-something a month. But it doesn't make any sense to me at all that we have garbage being produced, and everybody's producing garbage, and some are having it adequately carried away and some are not. There's another reason. The legislature this past year passed the House Bill 174, which placed a tax on tons of garbage in any landfill. It's going to be $1.50 a ton. If we had $1.50 a ton on 52,000 tons of garbage, if you put the pencil to it, that comes out to about $78,000. That's going to go out of Barren County. Now, what's going to happen with that money is there's going to be a $25 million bond issue to finance in counties cleaning up illegal dumps and cleaning up roadside trash. but only those counties that have mandatory garbage pickup are going to share in that. Now, there are about 80 counties that have mandatory garbage pickup and about 40 that don't. We don't want to be one of that 40. We don't want to be sending $78,000 to Frankfort every year for the next few years and not getting any of that back. But if we have mandatory garbage pickup, we're going to get back our fair share, and hopefully more than our fair share, of that $25 million bond issue. Plus, they're going to add $5 million a year to that from the highway fund. So there's going to be in excess of $30 million that's going to be funneled out to the counties that have mandatory garbage pickup. We would not be wise not to do that and just give that money away to the state and have them send it back to some other county.
David, David, you have any other comments?
Well, I guess I just haven't researched that end of it that far, but all I was doing is I still think that when people hear something that says they have got to do something, they don't like it. And I don't think that the people should be made to do something. I think that if it's presented to them and showed them that they need to do this, and the local haulers are aware of this, that if they go to their people that maybe they go by their house and they know that nobody's picking up their garbage, they can solicit their business and see that this is done. I'm sure when I get in office that there's going to be a lot that I don't know of all these figures and all these things, but there again, I can learn and I'm willing to learn, and I will listen to the people and hear what they have to say.
What about the transport, Judge?
Well, fiscal court with one dissenting vote voted in favor of supporting the idea of a transport. And I can agree with that. I can agree with what the fiscal court did. The only reservations that I would have, and I'm sure that the fiscal court had the same reservation, they didn't commit Barren County to spend any money on the transport, and I wouldn't either. I mean, that's Warren County's baby, and let them pay for it. I had a good friend one time that if it turns out to be a white elephant, and it may, somebody told me one time it's easy to create a white elephant, but it's hard to keep them fed. But if that happens, then that's their problem. And if they want to do that, then they put in their money and do it. Now, we're definitely, if they do that, we're going to get some economic benefit, just the bleed off from over there. And we've got to think about what we're going to do so that the western half, western third of Barren County doesn't become a big mobile home park for Warren County. But we're going to have to think along those lines. The only other reservation that I would have about the Transpark is if it's going to do any damage at all to Mammoth Cave, I oppose it first and foremost. I don't want anybody to do anything that's going to harm at all Mammoth Cave. But the things that I've read about the Transpark say that it is downstream, and one of the most reliable scientific treatises I've read on that is that this is downstream from Mammoth Cave and it will not pollute Mammoth Cave. But there are differences of opinion on that, and if it's proven to me that it's going to somehow harm Mammoth Cave, I will be unalterably opposed to it. But otherwise, let them go. If that's what Warren County wants to do, as long as it doesn't cost us any money, and it's not going to unless we voted, and I'm certainly not going to vote to spend any Barren County money developing Warren County.
Davey, what's your position on it?
I
Both
agree.
from you agree with him?
I agree with him. I think when the time comes to renew that contract, that the magistrates will have to sit down and decide what they want to do and vote on it. But I don't see any of the magistrates or the fiscal court offering to spend any of Barren County's money for that park. So I feel the same as Benny does.
And he brought up a subject that not only is involved there, but environmental problems. Mm-hmm. Do you see any environmental problems in the county as of this time?
Well, I went over to Horse Cave and went through that cave they have down there, hidden cave, and saw what all this trash and things can do to our drinking water. Yes, I'm really concerned about our environment. I've been out in the county, and I've been seeing some places where there's a lot of rusted cars and things out in the fields, and I definitely am concerned about the environment, because I know that is our drinking water, and we need to really be careful with what we have out in our land.
Do you have any plans or in your own mind of how to deal with some of these problems and getting the rust off of the land and so
Well,
forth, the rusted vehicles and other objects off of the land?
I'm hoping that I can meet with each of the mayors of the communities and talk to them with Scott Young about some land use planning and see if we can't go in and do some of that with these people's help. I don't want to go in and say it's going to be this way and that way, but I think the people, after they hear what can be done and what's happening to the land, that they will be glad to work on this with us. I know Park City has already started having the land use project with their council, and they brought it before their people, and they have it in place. And the way they presented it to their people, the people accepted it, and I think when people hear what's going to be good for our land, we have beautiful countryside out there, and I think everybody wants to keep it like that.
Well, you mentioned land use. What do you propose as far as land use is concerned? What do you think about zoning?
I don't know that zoning would work in the farmland. I know that we have people appointed to the Planning and Zoning Board. We have some zoning out there now that is not strictly enforced, I understand, but I had rather see us come up with a land use program rather than stapling it as zoning. I would just like to see us put the land to good use.
Do you have any proposals for or anything in mind for the details of a land use project?
No, not at this time I don't, but I have sat down and talked with Scott Young, and he has some good ideas, and he says he will work with me and with the Planning and Zoning Commission, that there's some good people on that, and they're very interested in Barren County to seeing that it is done right. I've had some people talk to me about some things that are in their areas, and I tell them that we can work it out with the proper authorities.
Judge, you got any comments?
Well, that's why it makes so much sense to me to have mandatory garbage pickup. If you're dumping 7,500 tons of garbage somewhere other than a landfill, then it's polluting our groundwater and our atmosphere and our land and everything else. That's why we ought to do that. Now, if we do that, we're going to share in that money to go after illegal dumps. They're going to give us money. We can apply for money and grants to go after illegal dumps, and we have illegal dumps in this county just like every county in the state. And we're going to have grants to go after. They're going to give funds from Frankfurt. We're going to pay into that fund, so we ought to get some of it back. They're going to award money 3 times a year to pick up trash along the highway. If we have mandatory garbage collection, we can apply for those funds. Now, we can use their matching grant funds, and we can use the Class D felony program, which I helped to initiate in this county, to use those folks that are in jail in the penitentiary but serving their time in Barren County. We can use those as our contribution to the matching funds, to use that to clean up the highways. I have another idea that if we do something in Barren County once or twice a year that is similar to the trash master thing down at the lake, that we make county equipment and dump trucks and so forth available once or twice a year in each magisterial district to collect garbage and junk, and I'm talking about cars and refrigerators and stoves and all these big items, that people will bring them in. If we tell them we'll dispose of them for you for free, then I think that they will bring them in. And if we look at it to give people incentives to participate in programs like this, then I think that they will participate. But we can get money to clean up illegal dumps. We can get money to clean up our roadways and our right-of-ways, and we need to, and we can clean up our groundwater so that people are not dumping it into sinkholes.
But that doesn't necessarily answer the question of zoning.
Oh no! Well, y'all talked about two different things.
Well, no, she was talking about land use and so forth, and zoning. I asked her about zoning.
I've talked to Scott also, and land use planning is usually for people who say, I don't want anybody telling me what I can do with my land, but people really don't mind telling other people what they can do with their land. I don't think we need any zoning. We have a joint city-county planning commission that the county judge gets to appoint 5 members to. It's locally controlled. They are the people who consider these issues. If I'm county judge executive, I'm not going to take anything off the table. We're going to be willing to discuss anything that we think improves this county. But we have people on a joint city-county planning commission. They're in the process right now of making a 5-year plan for Barren County, and they will have to make that plan. That's what they're appointed to that commission for, and then vote on it. And if that's what they want to do, they need to be talking to people in the county to see what they figure people want to have done in this county.
I hear complaints myself from various people, both ways, about mobile homes being too close to residences in some instances, and then in other instances the mobile home owners claim that they're subjected sort of to a form of harassment because they do have a mobile home in a place where they have bought and where there's nothing that says they can't. Do either of you intend to deal with that problem if you consider it to be a problem? Have you heard any complaints about that, Judge?
Yes, I have. There are good mobile home parks in Barren County, and there are poor mobile home parks. And that's about the only thing that we have in the way of land use planning in the Joint City-County Planning Commission that applies to the county. We do have mobile home regulations that say, prescribe the density of the mobile homes, how close that they can be together and on what size lots and so forth. We have regulations about that right now that I think that the Joint City-County Planning Commission thinks are adequate, because I haven't heard to the contrary. Now, whether they are being strictly enforced or not, and whether people are going according to those regulations when they're setting up mobile homes, obviously in some instances they are not. But there are some nice mobile home parks, and we can't discriminate against people that live in mobile homes. They have a right to live just as much as the rest of us do. But we can put reasonable regulations so that, and we have reasonable regulations in the Joint City-County Planning Commission to make it so that they're not on top of each other and they're not high density, and that they're taken care of, and that they are adequate for waste disposal also.
Well, I think that's where your land use planning comes in, because before people go into this mobile park and start setting up the mobile homes, that they will have some regulations that they definitely need to go by, and there will be places ready available for them. I know there are nice mobile home parks, and I don't think that's the problem. I don't think it's necessarily the parks, but if you have a nice home across the road, someone decides to come in and put a trailer, and in 6 months they lose that trailer, then that trailer is sitting on this parcel of land and they've left, and here you have a nice home and you don't want to look at that eyesore, and that's the problem. And if we had some land use planning, then that wouldn't happen. There would be places for these mobile homes to go, and they would have proper underpinning and proper foundations and things, and I definitely think that's the way to go.
And we already have that on the books, is what I'm saying. We already have land use planning
It's not enforced.
All right,
Well, I don't know whether it's
is it
enforced, but we already
enforced?
have those regulations.
Now you anticipate me, Davie.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry about it. If you're elected county judge executive, are you going to see that they are enforced?
Yes, sir. I'm going to work with the magistrates in our area. The magistrates are the people that come to the fiscal court with the problems of their citizens in their district. And when they come to me, together we'll sit down and we'll address this, along with the Planning and Zoning Commission. I know that Barren County has 5 representatives. There's 2 representatives from Cave City. There's 1 from Hiceville, 1 from Park City, and 5 from Glasgow. And this is a committee that needs to be working, and I think they really want to be. They've got some good members on there, and I think that when we address that issue, that they will see it enforced.
Will you see that the regulations that are already there enforced if you elected judge?
Absolutely, and not only that, fiscal court under my leadership is going to obey every law in the Commonwealth of Kentucky and every regulation that we're made aware of. We're not going to pick and choose which laws we're going to obey.
It seems as though there are constant problems concerning the funding of the ambulance service. And recently I've been hearing people say that Metcalfe County is in trouble and financially, and may not be able to continue to contribute to the extent that they are now. Do you know anything about the problems, Judge, and have you heard anything about them?
I heard that today for the first time, and other than something similar to what you have just said is the only thing that I've ever heard about that, but that's news to me, that if Metcalfe County is having a problem coming up with their fair share, I haven't heard that before. But obviously, if they're going to be part of the Barren and Metcalfe ambulance service, they're going to have to pay their fair share.
And what if they can't?
Then they don't get the service.
What do you say about that, David?
I guess it will become the Barren ambulance service. I mean, I don't see them not coming up with the money. I think their county judge over there is doing a fantastic job, and they're doing fine. I don't think they would have a problem in coming up with the money. I think it's needed in that area, and they don't want to have to depend on an ambulance from Barren County coming all the way from Glasgow to them when they need one. And I think they'll come up with the money.
Some counties have a county police force. Would you be in favor of that or against that if you're elected judge?
I'm not in favor of that. I don't think that it's needed, and I am in favor of this. I've sat down and talked with the sheriff about the load that the Barren County Sheriff's Office has, and it is a tremendous load, and they have hundreds of felony cases to investigate every year. I have committed to the sheriff that I'm going to do everything possible to see that he gets an additional detective for the Barren County Sheriff's Department. But no, I'm not in favor of changing it over and saying we're going to have a Barren County police force. The sheriff's office is doing a good job for the staff that they have. But they do need some help, and I have committed to try to do that.
David?
I think they need some help too. In checking into that, I found out something that I imagine probably the average citizens don't know, but our sheriff, his first duty is to collect taxes, and his second duty is to serve warrants, and his third duty is taking care of the law enforcement. So that alone, those first 2 items take a lot of his time and a lot of his deputies' time, and I absolutely think that Barren County needs more law enforcement. For the 5 deputies that they have and 1 detective, this county is too big. The city has 30-some policemen, and to just take care of the city limits. And we used to have state policemen in Barren County. but we only have 3 now, and they have a region that they take care of, so they aren't available to help us either. And I know that our sheriff's department really needs help, and that is something that I want to work with Barney, because I've sat down and talked with him too, and I know that in any way at all we can, we'll get some more men on that force. I don't see the county needing a special county police force, but I think they do need some more detectives and some more deputies.
What limitations, if you know, are on the amount of money that the county can spend in one fiscal year?
I don't know of any. I know the county budget is about $8.5 million this year. It was about $9.5 million the year before, and it can't be raised on a year-to-year basis much larger than 4%. But I don't know that the limit on what the county can spend on any given year. Depends on revenues.
Okay.
You can't spend more than you take in. You can't go into debt. If that's what you meant by that question.
Well,
Yeah. Okay.
that's a limit,
Just
don't you
important.
think?
Well, it is, sure, but yes, okay, I understand. They can spend whatever they've got, whatever revenues are, they can budget that, but they can't deficit spend.
Now, both of you have stated that you have checked on the budget for this year. Is it up to as far as their budget is concerned for this year, is it up to the maximum limit? Do you know, Davie?
I would say pretty close. I'm not sure, but I would say pretty close.
I'm pretty sure, my understanding of this is that they budget what they have in anticipated revenues every year, but they don't necessarily spend all that. Mm-hmm. There is a holdover from last year. There's a rainy day fund in the county, thank goodness, that the current fiscal court has been wise enough to lay a little money back so that we don't get strapped, and these are going to be hard times, but I think they budget whatever revenue income that they anticipate, and then don't always spend all that.
Now, if the occasion should happen, and of course we are having some economic difficulties, particularly in the country, so far, fortunately, we've been spared, and I hope it continues that way. But if we have the situation where the taxes collected are less than they are now, and you have to cut some services, where would you propose to cut?
You looking at me?
I'm looking at you right now. I'll look at her in a moment.
Well, I'm not sure, Uhel. We can't spend more than we have. That's the law in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and you don't have a choice of, yes, you can do that for a while. You can't. You've got to cut, and you've got to make your expenditures equal your revenues, and I really don't know where that would be. Probably not in the road funds, because they stay pretty well the same no matter what the economic cycles are, because they're based on something different than economic cycles. But it's obvious that we'd have to have probably look at personnel. That would be one decision to make, but most of the things the county is involved in are pretty well locked in concrete, so that you don't have a lot of leeway about what you can do.
What's your comment, Davie?
Well, I've thought about that, and in looking at the budget, there just is not anything there that I really would want to do away with or cut. Like he said, you may have to think about leaving somebody off. I think there's in the budget stipulation there, that the line that you can have an assistant county judge. Well, or the county judge can have an assistant. That would be a place that I don't think that we would necessarily need, and if something happened that the funds weren't available, that would be a cut. There may be things that just little office supplies and that amount up to a whole lot. Be a little closer on phone bills and things like that.
Do you intend to be a full-time judge?
Yes, sir.
Do you intend to be a full-time judge?
Yes, sir.
It's time to close this out. It's gone rather quickly. I appreciate your being here. I think you've made statements that will be useful in helping the people decide which one of you to elect as county judge executive. I don't envy either one of you having the position. I'm glad I won't be there. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.